Good evening, everyone. My name is Holly Block, Assistant Director for Recruitment. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and welcome to all our special guests. I'd like to introduce Tyler Bingham, who is the University at Buffalo School of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences Academic Advisor and Admissions Advisor for the School of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences. I'd like to introduce my team, Andre Parkamenko and Nora Schwartzberg, who are both admissions advisors for the Office of Recruitment and Admissions, and also our academic advisor from the Department of Chemistry, Dr. Chwen-Yang Shew, who is our pre-med and PharmD advisor for the Department of Chemistry. So a little overview about our BA in Chemistry and Biochemistry. So we're going to see if that program is a good fit for you based on your resources and our faculty, and whether it would reach your career goals to major in the BA in Biochemistry or Chemistry as opposed to the BS. So a little bit about CSI. CSI is part of the CUNY family, 25 colleges in CUNY. CSI is a senior college in CUNY. We are the only one that starts with the associate degree and goes all the way to the doctorate. We are one of 3 colleges that can award its own doctorate degree. Right now we have about 10,500 students, and we were established in 1976 when Richmond College merged with Staten Island Community College. We opened for business on this campus in 1993. Currently, tuition is just under $7,000 a year. That has not changed since 2019. So $6,930. If you plan on living on our campus, it's an additional $15,000 to $18,000 in addition to tuition. You can see some of our competitors. CUNY is only a fraction of that cost, so it's an incredible bargain. This is the overhead view of our campus, which is the largest single campus in the 5 boroughs, public or private, 204 acres. And most students walk it. It takes about 12 minutes to walk from one side to the other. Some of our key buildings, so we do recommend you come and visit us. Upper left is our library. Lower left is the Center for the Arts. Lower right is our Sports and Recreation Center, and upper right is our campus center. We also have excellent student housing. So the upper left is a full bed in a private room, which is rare. Only 3 colleges in CUNY have on-campus living. So this is the view of the 2 buildings, the south and the north building. The apartments come fully furnished, so all you have to do is bring your pots and pans, clothing, linens, and your laptop, and you're pretty much all set. This is one of our conference rooms in Dolphin Cove. I recommend, if you are able to commute to our campus, though, save your money, and if you want an on-campus living experience, save it for like your senior year. If you can save a $15K, and then you won't graduate with loans. We are considered a STEM and research powerhouse and a diverse campus. We recommend you join the club that's associated with your major. It's a great way to make friends. We have an excellent study abroad program, considered the best in CUNY, that's promoted by our own Welcome Center in the central office. And we have study abroad in both fall and spring and during the summer and winter sessions. And there are scholarships available. We have 3 honors programs. So Macaulay and Verrazano are probably an excellent fit for PharmD, pre-PharmD students. Macaulay is a full tuition scholarship, and that application is due in 2 weeks, November 16th. If you have a 90 GPA or higher, we recommend that you file the special application to Macaulay. Macaulay has its own application. You get 6 choices. Commit to your first choice because that's what Macaulay looks at, the first applicant pool. Verrazano is our local honors program, the Verrazano School, that also has scholarships. Verrazano has slightly less funds and a slightly lower academic profile and GPA. And then we have the Teacher Education Honors Academy, which trains students to be highly skilled math and science teachers in the DOE. So a little bit about the BA in Chemistry and Biochemistry at CSI. So this program was developed over the last 2 years in conjunction with some of the other CUNY colleges, as well as William Patterson University and our Department of Biology. So some of the advantages: this program has 70 credits within the major, and it provides the students considerable flexibility. You can also have the option of double majoring with a BS in biology with minimum extra credits. This major also has the necessary training for the biotech industry, as well as PharmD, and also students who want to go into research and earn their PhD. Also very useful for preparation for students taking the MCATs, the PharmD, and the DAT exams. Also great major and choice for prospective science teachers. It's a flexible curriculum. We're looking to improve the student outcomes in chemistry and biochemistry with the BA because the math and the physics is different. It's an increased emphasis in applied physical chemistry, which is very useful for biotech, biomedical, and healthcare professions. It has a reduced focus on the math. So the BS in chemistry and biochemistry requires calculus 1, 2, and 3, and physics, which require calculus as part of the computations in the curriculum. So that would be quantum mechanics. You don't need that in the BA in chemistry. So you have an easier physics sequence as well. So the BA puts less academic pressure on the students compared to the more rigorous BS in chemistry and biochemistry. So the professors have been polling the students. They did a focus group, and there was a lot of enthusiasm among the students for the BA degree in both biochemistry and chemistry. We also found that there is a shortage of skilled workers, so we want students to think about the BA in chemistry, where they otherwise wouldn't have thought of chemistry at all because of the BS curriculum. It's also easier to maintain that A GPA that professional schools are looking for. So with less rigor, it's less pressure and easier to maintain the higher GPA. We also have summer research workshops. So if you're looking to build your research portfolio, we have grant-funded research as well as sponsored research, and that runs during the fall as well as the spring. We're currently running the metagenomic sequencing of DNA early research opportunity. This is also another program. This is grant-funded that runs over the summer, the Gateway to Science, Experiments and Computations in Chemistry. So all of this looks great in your research portfolio and helps you be more attractive to professional schools and their committees, their admissions committee. We also have the Undergraduate Research Conference, where students get to exhibit their work and discuss it intelligently with guests as well as their colleagues and faculty. A little bit about chemistry. We are highly accredited, so we're accredited by the American Chemical Society. We have 17 full-time faculty members. They are highly astute. Many of them participate in the graduate center. So if you see that your professor is also teaching or heading up a program at the CUNY Graduate Center, that means that they are renowned in their field and considered the utmost experts in their discipline. Many of them earn grant funding. We have a nice small program in chemistry and biochemistry. So the teacher ratio is about 15-1. So you get a lot of personalized attention and mentorship. Okay, so Tyler, whenever you're ready, and then afterwards we will take some questions.
Yeah, let's roll. All right. So we are the University at Buffalo, School of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences. We are big believers in the education that CUNY offers and sort of its ability to parlay itself into a very strong academic career in our professional school as part of the School of Pharmacy. The University at Buffalo is an affiliate school of the State University of New York system, and we are its flagship campus. Us and the University at Albany share this distinction, which really just means that SUNY emphasizes us as sort of the research and development centers of the overall system. Our program, I always tell students, can be as research heavy or as research sort of hands off as you want it to be. If you have amazing opportunities while you're at College of Staten Island to get involved in research, to participate in an undergraduate research conference, we have a ton of great opportunities for you to continue it at this level because of what UB affords. But we also have opportunities for you to take a strictly professional path and really just think about graduate education for practical purposes. So we have a lot of flexibility with that. I always say that I'm a great ambassador for the city of Buffalo because I'm not from here and I've chose to stick it out in Buffalo for 8 years now. It is an amazing city with a lot of the same amenities that we have downstate. It has a tremendous food scene, a tremendous cultural scene, and we're very lucky at the pharmacy school to be positioned right in our downtown area. So we are right in the middle of Buffalo, and we have the ability to connect our students with all of those great amenities that Buffalo has to offer. In terms of our program, we are the oldest pharmacy program in the state of New York and one of the oldest pharmacy programs nationally. We have been continuously operating since 1886, and a little bit of research that I actually did on our school's history and lineage is that in our first graduating class, we actually had one of the first female graduates of a pharmacy school. So all the way back in 1888, when our first class matriculated, we were graduating both genders, and we're really proud of that. We are also really proud that our campus sort of has a reputation that our students have access to for, again, this research end of it in pharmaceutical sciences, specifically as it relates to our drug discovery and drug development laboratory. So this is an opportunity for students that are interested to get involved with being on the forefront of developing and improving medications. We are accredited through both a traditional accrediting body, so middle states, but then also a pharmaceutical educational body as well. We rank #1 in the state of New York overall and #14 nationally. So in addition to being a top 15 program, we're the best around in our own state. And something that sort of stands apart with that is that we have ambition not just to stay at 14, but to be a top 5 institution. Our current dean, Dean Pollock, is actually from the #1 pharmacy school in the country, which is UNC. And he has a big goal for us to be right there neck and neck with them within the next several years. And we're actually hoping when the rankings get that we're going to be inside the top 10. So we're really proud of the education that we're able to offer our students in pharmacy, and that we're able to offer them one that sort of stands apart, and not just within our own state, but across the country. To sort of pair with that quality of education, we also offer our students an affordable education. So we currently stand 12th in the nation in affordability for a PharmD program. And this is only heightened if you are an in-state resident. So if you are a resident of the state of New York, you actually get a discounted tuition rate for in-state, just like you would at the undergraduate level. Not every pharmacy school is able to offer this, but it's something that we are particularly focused on offering our students. Many of our students come from the state of New York, although we have some from all across the country as well. So we really try to make our education accessible and affordable for our students. I'm going to share a link in the chat, and this is to our overall scholarships page. So you're welcome to take a look at that at your leisure. Upon application to the School of Pharmacy, and we'll talk a little bit about what that's going to look like for you if you choose to do the combined program with CSI, you're going to have access to merit scholarships. So you'll fill out an application. We will receive it just like you did at the undergraduate level, and we will then process you for a variety of scholarships that we have. There are some that are specific to experiences that you might have had at the undergraduate level or professionally or pre-professionally. There are scholarships available for things as simple as GPA and class standing. It really depends on the individual student. What I tell all of our students, regardless of their trajectory and entrance into pharmacy school, is that they apply as early as possible. Just like undergrad, we have a big pool of money at the beginning, and the more students that we take in, the smaller that pool of money gets. So if you're able to apply as early as September, October, you have a sort of competitive advantage for those scholarships. Most of our scholarships, and I think this is important to share, are good for the first year of your program. So a number of our students will come in not having professional work experience in pharmacy. We are able to connect them with part-time services starting in their second and third years of school. So our scholarships are really geared towards that first transitional year to help get students set up in Buffalo and sort of acclimated to our community. Additionally, we are constantly getting scholarships that we don't technically offer as the University at Buffalo, but companies like CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, as well as local hospitals are encouraging us to get our students to apply for these scholarships. And these range anywhere from like $500 to we have scholarships that come through that aren't our own for up to the full cost of tuition. It really depends on the student and sort of what is available in our off-campus partners. An additional funding piece that I think is important to know is that at the University at Buffalo, we do have graduate on-campus living. So you can live on our North Campus, which is in Amherst, New York. It's about 15 minutes from our pharmacy building. And this would allow you to use the traditional methods of acquiring on-campus housing, but you are absolutely free. And I would encourage most students to live off-campus in Buffalo. Rent here is very affordable compared to national trends in rent. And our local campus community is always looking to host UB students. I can't tell you the number of rooms for rent, apartments for rent that we get shared that are specifically people looking for UB students. variety of opportunities to sort of keep that cost of tuition and housing a little bit lower. And we're always trying to work with our students to see what we can do. We have a separate program for needs-based scholarships. So after your first semester at the University at Buffalo, we open these up. And if you can demonstrate some financial need and reason as to why you need some additional funding from our school, we do our best to connect you with those. All of the individual itemized scholarships that we offer are available in that link below. I'm happy to talk about any of them, but if you want to just peruse them and get a sense of them, that's where they are. Something that is unique about the University of Buffalo as it speaks to other pharmacy schools is our academic health center. So academic health centers, as my supervisor always says, is not something that's going to like knock your socks off, but it's something that's really, really important. So here at the University at Buffalo, we have a school of pharmacy, a school of social work, a school of dentistry, a school of medicine, and a school of nursing. We don't treat these programs as completely separate worlds that never interact with one another. The reality is, whether you choose to be a pharmacist in an industry setting like CVS or Rite Aid, or if you choose to work into a hospital, you are going to interface with doctors, with nurses, with social workers. So you should be able to talk to them and be able to work with them. What we give our students is the opportunity to exist in a community of healthcare professionals and learn and grow interprofessionally together. So this might look like us holding a special talk on a Tuesday night on our campus and all the students and all the other programs come to us. Or what I think our students have the most fun with is our Jacobs for our School of Medicine is located like right in the middle of downtown. And they often hold a lot of our interprofessional events, and they can take the subway right downtown and enjoy sort of the great things that come along with being on the Jacobs campus as well. This also gives our students access to special electives. So pharmacy curriculum is pretty strict. There's not too much room to take like individual classes that you want outside of our pharmacy school, but our academic health center gives you some opportunities. Very popular is our veterinary pharmacy class, which is actually taught by our Jacobs School of Medicine, and is an opportunity for our students to get involved in them. Not for nothing, our accrediting body, ACPE, says that we do an academic health center in the top 4 of all 40 pharmacy schools that have an academic health center. So we're pretty proud of that as well, because that doesn't just speak to the education that we as the pharmacy school is able to offer you, but how the rest of our campus treats education, that we take it very seriously, that we take the relationships you're going to develop inside of your program and outside of it very seriously, and that ultimately we just want you to be prepared, right? If you choose to work in an emergency room as a pharmacist, you should be able to talk to a doctor, you know, not just in the heat of the moment when you're helping a patient, but casually, professionally. You should be able to build these relationships that are going to carry you from one position to the next. And doing so early on at the professional school level will only benefit you in the future. So we're really proud to offer this, and we're always super enthused about trying to make it better. Something that I work on is building opportunities in the pharmacy building to hold some interprofessional events. And last year, our students actually held a medical student banquet. So they all got together, they raised money for a charity and had a nice dinner together. So there are a ton of opportunities to have a special education as it relates to being a healthcare professional at UB. Another tidbit of information about our program, again, this isn't anything like outside of the norm, but our program was recently sort of put into the queue for reaccreditation. So something that comes along with that is some suggestions from our accrediting body on how we can make our education better. And we take those recommendations to heart, right? Not just because we want to get reaccredited, but because they are usually offering some really good suggestions. And one of them that was pitched to us that we've taken really seriously is this idea of holistic education. I think we hear this term a lot as it relates to admissions. A lot of schools have holistic admissions programs where we talk about admissions being person-centered, right? We care about your extracurriculars and your letters of reference and your personal statement. It's not just GPA. But what we find as it relates to our pharmacy education is this counts for what you're learning in the classroom too, right? A student that has a C average in pharmacy is just as capable of being a pharmacist as the student with the A average. So what we really think about is what can we do to prepare them professionally? What can we do to build this portfolio of skills? So if they choose to work for CVS, or they choose to work in a hospital, or they choose to work in a nursing home, that they're ready to go, that they hit the ground running, that they impress people, that they get themselves on a professional best foot, that they can carry through for the rest of their academic career and professional career afterwards. Speaking of grading, it looks a little bit different in pharmacy school. So medical schools for a long time have sort of kept letter grading in its own little bucket somewhere else and really switched over to a modified version of pass-fail. I do want to emphasize that this is not a pass-fail system. So students will take exams, they will take a variety of quizzes and present and do a number of different academic activities that they will be graded on. And behind the scenes, they will receive a letter grade. So there is a letter grade attached to, say, an exam, right? If it's a 100-question exam and you get 99 of them correct, like there's no mathematical way of getting around you having a 99 out of 100. But on the student-facing end, we've removed the letter grading. So we have the system that we call HSU, or honors satisfactory unsatisfactory. You can think of satisfactory as anything that's like a 70 or above. Unsatisfactory is going to be 70 or below. Honors is going to be really like a 89.99, where we round you up to the 90 all the way to 100. This method of education is something that med school has been doing for a very, very long time. And pharmacy schools have really only started to make this transition in the past 10 years or so. There's only a handful of schools that have made this switch. But what we found is it is making our students more comfortable on our campus. Pharmacy is a collaborative field. If you get nothing else out of this presentation, I really want you to understand that pharmacy school is about learning how to work with other people in an intense professional environment. We want our students to feel comfortable working with one another. Every one of our professors, every one of our staff members, our dean of students is going to tell you that you should study with peers for pharmacy exams. You should work with peers on presentations. You should feel comfortable going to a peer with questions about a class. What we found with traditional letter grading was that some students maybe felt a little uncomfortable doing that. If a student had an 89.9 and their peer had an 89.8, that there was this like academic competitiveness that maybe was getting in the way of those two students working together. And we were researching our students, and this is what they were telling us. We were surveying them pretty regularly before we made this switch, and that was the feedback we were getting. We were also getting feedback from faculty that were saying a lot of their office hours had become students coming to them and saying, I have an 89, why don't I have a 91, right? And these distinctions really, again, they matter in an academic sense, but they don't matter in your capability of becoming a pharmacist. They don't matter in your ability to contort yourself as a professional, to perform well in your position as a pharmacist. So what we've done is really move to a sense where our students want to work together, want to collaborate. And I'm actually really proud to say, so we've been surveying our students on the academics issue for the past 5 years. For 4 out of the past 5, we've gotten feedback that says the pharmacy school is more competitive than collaborative. Last year was our first year that we did HSU for an entire year. And it was also the first year that students overwhelmingly described pharmacy school as more collaborative than competitive. So it sort of immediately hit the ground and changed the student experience of our school, that they felt comfortable working together. And with our current new crop of students for this year, we can already see that they're way more comfortable with each other this early on in their education than any class we've had sort of in recent memory. So we're really proud of the impact that really just changing from letter grades to HSU has provided our students and their education. Right alongside that is I would say the #1 goal of our program, which is to establish your professional identity. We want you to leave UB Pharmacy and step into a professional role and excel. Our students have a reputation with employers that they are really, really good at what they do. I give the example that every year we have a welcome back picnic on our campus for our students. It's like a nice little barbecue we do right in September. And Walgreens for years and years now has offered us a generous gift to support this event. Last year, they offered us $3,000 for this event. It was awesome. And we have more sort of human resources on this end now. And we were programming, putting this event together, and we were like, we could do a little bit more. So we reached back out to Walgreens and asked if they could do anything more for us. And they immediately offered us an additional $10,000 in support of this event, which speaks not to us going back to them, but how they value our students, right? that they see that UB pharmacy students are their leaders in their pharmacies for years to come. That they know that if they can get the Walgreens name out there with our students, that they will pull our students, and that our students are going to be their future vice presidents, their future presidents, and really just be leaders within their field. I think it's a unique thing that we are able to offer, certainly in the state of New York, but nationally as well, is that we have long-standing relationships with these employers. Another example is Johnson & Johnson was also founded in 1886. So just like us, one of the leading medical manufacturers in the entire country, we're the same age. And we've been sending students to Johnson & Johnson for over 100 years now. So we're really proud that we have these long-standing relationships, and we want you to be ready to step into them. We want these partnerships to be partnerships that you're ready for, that you're comfortable with. So right from the get-go, we're going to get you comfortable, we're going to get you acclimated, and we're going to give you the chance to find who you are in pharmacy. I'll talk about it a little more in a second, but you don't have to know what you want to do as a pharmacist right now. You don't have to know what you want to do as a pharmacist up until your last year of pharmacy school. We're going to be here with you for each step of the way to figure it out and figure out who you are as a professional so that you're ready to declare that at the end of your pharmacy education. I sort of said a lot of what I normally say on this slide, but it's that our students are going to step into professional roles. So our last group that we have survey data on is 2022. 92% of our students reported working in a job related to pharmacy. The 8% that we don't have data on just did not respond to our survey request. So we don't know that they don't have pharmacy positions, but of everyone that responded, all of them reported having pharmacy positions. Again, it's that 8% that didn't respond that is in this unknown category that shows up. About a third of our graduates are going to work in traditional retail, or as we call them at school, community pharmacy settings. So this might look like your local pharmacy, or it might look like a Wegmans or a CVS or a Rite Aid, Publix. I think the locations where people are more familiar there being a pharmacist. Maybe the place where they've interacted with a pharmacist. If you've had shadowing experiences, maybe that's where you've had them. But a whole another third of our students are going to step into professional residencies to get them prepared for working in a hospital setting. And they might choose to be a general practitioner, right? Work in any setting, or they might specialize just like a doctor in pediatrics or neurology or cardiology. There's a variety of opportunities for pharmacists. And then that other third of students, there's like a whole host of places that they end up. So they might end up working for the NIDA in a governmental role. They might work for Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson as a clinical research pharmacist. And then there are other sort of academic trajectories that pharmacists can take because a PharmD is good enough for teaching. And so there are all sorts of postdoc professional opportunities like fellowships that are available to PhD students as well. I think this is a helpful slide for high school students because I think we have an image of what a pharmacist's responsibility is from interfacing with them in our CVS, Rite Aid locations, but maybe not like a full picture of everything a pharmacist can do. Increasingly, pharmacists are patients' like first responder in a lot of ways to the problems that they're facing on a daily basis. So if you are seeking initial treatment or a vaccination, you're usually going to your pharmacist for that initial intake. Increasingly, pharmacists can be involved, especially in hospital settings, in the diagnosing of patients, right? So particularly in rural hospitals where there might not be as many doctors to spread around, a pharmacist is qualified to make decisions based on a patient's symptoms to afford them medication. They help patients and they explain to patients what medications do, what sort of medications might have side effects. I always give the example that a doctor is an expert in treatment, but that doesn't make them an expert in medicine. One of the really powerful things that I think a pharmacist can do in a retail setting is I give the example of a patient walks into a doctor's office with diabetes. There are a lot of medications that patients with diabetes cannot take, but the doctor doesn't know that this particular medication has a mal-relationship with diabetes patients. They call in the prescription just the same. It is the pharmacist at the Rite Aid, while you're driving over to the Rite Aid and have no idea that they're doing this on your behalf, that is calling the doctor back and saying, hey, we cannot assign this medication to this patient. In that 20 minutes that you're driving from the practice to the location, the pharmacist has stepped in and really changed and saved your life in a way that I think is often not as appreciated as the role of a doctor or a nurse. They are there for you And they're a resource to be used for all sorts of medical issues, but they're also sort of that first line of defense when you get a medication that maybe wouldn't work for you. As I mentioned, we have this whole research side of the house, and our PharmD students are allowed to partake in it. They partake in our drug discovery lab, so they can learn about how medications are manufactured and how they're created from the onset. There are opportunities for students to get involved in improving medication. We have the big three, which are these three words that I always get a little shy about pronouncing, but they're pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics, and pharmacogenomics. These are three fields of pharmaceutical research that were actually invented at the University of Buffalo. So we have a library on our campus named after Professor Gumtow, and Professor Gumtow invented all three of these fields. He's sort of a legend in pharmaceutical sciences. And our students are able to get a unique pharmacy education in that our practical pharmacy education is grounded in pharmaceutical sciences research. So not as many pharmacy schools as you would think have a research end to them. Ours has a really strong one, and our education is undergirded by the research that we're doing. So you're always getting like the most current education as a pharmacist that you could be getting, because our staff, our faculty, are creating these new medications that make you the most prepared current pharmacist. We are at the front lines of improving patient quality of life and improving patient care. So the degree pathway you want to look at is on the left. Once you come to pharmacy school after you've gotten your awesome education at Staten Island, you are going to have opportunities to diversify yourself even more. We'll talk about how you can do a 2+4 or a 3+4 or 4+4. If you do the 2+4, I always say this is an advantage of it. In 7 years, you can have both a PharmD, which is a doctoral level degree, and any of these master's degrees you see on the left. So for just an additional year of study at UB, our students get 100% direct admission to any of the master's degree programs you see listed on the left. Most popular are our MBA and our Master's of Public Health. Both of those have sort of unique footing for pharmacists, right? So if you want to be a retail pharmacist and potentially you want to own a bunch of pharmacies, an MBA is a great foot in the door to doing that. It's also a great foot in the door for students that maybe don't ever want to actually interact with a patient face to face. There are a ton of roles in insurance providers, in drug development companies that are sort of not patient facing, that have a better chance of you landing those positions if you have an MBA as a background. Similarly with public health, you can be at the forefront of health messaging, of medical pharmaceutics messaging. There are positions where you can be an educator of doctors, so you can travel the country educating doctors on what medications do on behalf of different drug companies. And then for students that do that 3+4 and get themselves a bachelor's degree and hit the ground running with pharmacy school, we have some advanced programs that you would also qualify for. So we have a PharmD PhD that adds 3 years on top of the PharmD. So it's 7 years of professional school. And we have pretty uniquely a PharmD JD. So students that want to practice pharmacy law or medicine law can actually acquire a Juris Doctor in the course of their study, again, for an additional 3 years on top of the PharmD degree. So it's a great opportunity for students to have a really powerful resume academically and really be a leader, not just in their industry, but potentially in a field that is relatively small, right? Pharmacy law is a really important law field, but there are only a handful of pharmaceutical lawyers in the country. So it is a potential to really diversify yourself and potentially be like a leader in a field. So when we think about your relationship with CSI, I really kind of take it down to these bullet points as the most important things that you need to follow while you're preparing yourself for ascending to a PharmD program. I'm going to put another link in the chat. And Holly also put this link in your email, but this is to our PharmCast requirements. So these are all of the courses that you need to be ready for pharmacy school. These can be completed, and I can't stress this enough, at whatever pace you want. So I have the 2+4 and the 3+4 on the screen, but also available is a 4+4, and that is a totally valid and legitimate path to pharmacy school. I tell every student, you only in some ways get to do undergraduate one time, right? You can always come to grad school later, but undergrad is this like unique experience where you can really feel out education for the first time. So if you want to take a bunch of electives, have a bunch of different experiences, study abroad, there is nothing wrong with doing a 3+4 or a 4+4. take that time, go on that trip to Argentina or to Spain and get those experiences, because they'll make you unique when you step into pharmacy school. But if you want that accelerated, if you want to step right into a pharmacy program, then the 2+4 is an amazing option. Regardless of which path you choose, we're really going to be looking for these requirements. So we're going to assume that you have a C or better in all of your college courses. And then we're going to ask you to have a 3.0 or better in our prerequisite courses. And this is a 3.0 average. So that might mean that organic chemistry 2 was not your best class. Maybe you got a C- in that, but you got straight A's in biology. That's okay for us, right? We're looking at that as an average. As a standard, our students are required to have a minimum of a C- in all of our prerequisite courses. That is our sort of bottom floor standard. But we certainly take students that sort of have fluctuations within their grades, right? That you had straight A's in one field of chemistry, maybe biochemistry was really good for you, but organic chemistry was hard, right? We look at everything when it comes to taking in new students, especially from our collaborative partners, right? We want you to do amazing things at CSI, and we want you to do amazing things with us. We're going to ask that you complete all of the academic expectations that Staten Island lays out for you, right? So they're going to have program requirements that are different than ours in terms of like a gen ed or other sort of requirements. We want you to fulfill all of those before you come to us, depending on the program that you're in. You're going to be asked to do a pharmacy interview. All PharmCast candidates are required to do this interview. Typically, our students, throughout their application process, if they're scared of one thing, they are scared of the interview. I cannot stress enough, the interview is like the most relaxed interview you will ever have in your entire life. It is 5 questions about why you want to be a pharmacist. We're going to ask you, why were you interested in pharmacy? What kinds of things would you like to do with pharmacy? One of the popular topics is, what's a book you've recently read, right? These are not meant to be questions that like really get at like the core of who you are. They're just meant to make sure you're comfortable and can explain yourself and sort of have a good basis for why you want to step into pharmacy school. It is a long commitment, right? 4 years of pharmacy school is a pretty long time. We just want to make sure that you're ready to do that you've thought it through and that you're comfortable with doing that. I never see students fail the interview. So when I say complete the interview successfully, you show up, you're not wearing a hoodie and sweatpants, you'll be good to go. It's really just an opportunity for you to share your passion and excitement. You may be asked, I always say this too, like, as programs get reaccredited, not just ours, but any programs at CSI, like sometimes these requirements can change, but we'll be there lockstep with you the whole way if something changes. I'm actually going to put my email while I'm thinking about it in the chat right now. At any time during your education, regardless of where you're at, you can always reach out to me. In addition to being an admissions advisor, I'm also an academic advisor, so I know our program pretty well. And I'm always comfortable like looking at a transcript, helping out, making sure like you're taking the right classes that you need in order to be prepared. Students are required to complete the PharmCast application. This isn't our rule. This is actually our accrediting body's rule because they like to track all of the entrants into pharmacy school. So you'll be asked to fill out the application, and it'll look a lot like your Common App or whatever application you're choosing to apply with to undergrad with. You're going to ask for letters of recommendation. We're looking for 2. And you're going to be asked for transcripts and a personal statement. If you've worked in a pharmacy or shadowed in a pharmacy, that's all great stuff to supply to. But especially with our collaborative partners, we're not necessarily looking for that kind of stuff. But if you have it, great. We're really just looking to make sure that you're ready to make this transition up to pharmacy school. This is the slide that I'm really proud about. So this is the slide that I actually have a lot of like direct involvement in trying to make all these things happen. So something that we've really thought about, and this will really, I think, ring true for our students that are interested in that 2 or 3+4, is that students come to pharmacy school a lot younger than they go to medical school or dental school. You don't need that bachelor's degree, right? That 2-year associates is plenty for pharmacy school. The bachelor's degree is excellent preparation. And again, I would really encourage any student that wants that full 4 years of school to get that full 4 years of school. But when our students get here, they tend to be a little younger, right? So we want to afford as many of the amenities that come with undergrad to our students as possible. We want you to be comfortable. We want you to have social experiences. On this slide, we call it the dedicated reflection room. I call it the Zen Den. It's a space on our campus that we have set aside with some aromatherapy, and it's just a quiet space for our students to sort of unwind, separate themselves. We always say that pharmacy school is kind of like having a 9-to-5 job. So having sort of a space that you can use as your break space is really huge. All throughout your pharmacy education, we are going to make sure that you are financially literate. We're going to make sure that you're prepared not just to pay for your education, but if you want to start a practice, that you're ready to do so, that you understand what kind of investment that requires. If you want to do a residency, right? We want to help you think about what's reachable for you, right? LA might be really expensive, but maybe there are opportunities in Buffalo or New York City or Boston or somewhere else that you can sort of more readily slot yourself into. Because our school is very 9 to 5, we have breaks throughout the day. We have opportunities every Tuesday. Our students have what we call a power hour, which is an hour where no classes are held and all faculty are required to have office hours. So there's nothing they're competing with, and you have free range of going to talk to a faculty member, get advice, get class advice you're looking for. And I think what I really emphasize with high school students is clubs and orgs don't have to end when you transition to pharmacy school. We have over 36 student organizations here at the pharmacy school that we want you to get involved in. Most of them tend to be like professionally affiliated organizations. For example, we have like a Cardiology Pharmacists of America organization. And they'll do things like have professional conferences, right? So UB will sponsor you to fly out to go to a conference so that you can meet professionals in the field. We'll also help sponsor bringing faculty to our campus that maybe are at a different institution that you'd like to meet. But they'll also hold like a pizza night and trivia night. So we'll also still have that fun, exciting stuff that comes with undergraduate education over at the pharmacy school. We also have a club. And if I was like gonna sort of place money on it, I bet we have a lot more clubs like this. It's called Non-Pharmacy Options, which I don't love the name, but it's a club that is geared towards social events. So all they do is social programming. They do movie nights, trivia nights, wellness nights, soccer games, all sorts of different stuff that our students have access to. And if I was gonna like predict anything for the next few years of pharmacy education at our school, I expect that eventually we're going to have like a Dungeons and Dragons club, a tennis club, and really just delve more into having student recreational life at this level. Paired right along with that is our learning and engagement communities. So this is brand new for this year. And it's something that we're really excited about. So med schools have been doing this for a long time, and learning and engagement communities are individual focused groups of pharmacy students. So our average class size is about 125 students. We break that 125 into 6 or 7 different houses, think like Harry Potter, where 25 to 30 pharmacy students can get to know each other and have a space to get to know each other right from orientation. So your orientation will actually be built around the house that you're a part of. That way, if you're coming from Staten Island and you have peers that are coming from California, that you can get to know them right away, that you can build community as you make this sort of transition to professional school. We find that students are sometimes a little reticent to have that first study partner. Our learning and engagement communities give you the opportunity to have somebody to study with, to work with, to socialize with, to make that first late night target run with right from the get-go. That you have people that you can know and count on, and they don't have to end up being your best friends, but it's a place to start. It's a place to build those connections. Additionally, your faculty advisor is going to be the head of the house. So they're going to be someone that you can go back and forth with for academic advising, but then also for career mentoring advice. And they'll do both individual advising with you and group advising. So you can both go to them one-on-one and hang out as an entire cohort and learn together. You also have a staff advisor. I'm one of the staff advisors. And my job is the fun job because I get to do all the social programming. And I'm trying to make sure we're having a good time. I took all of the houses together. We went to a UB football game. And I bought out a whole section for us to enjoy the game. And I'm doing the same thing for men's and women's basketball in the spring. But my background is in writing and linguistics. I hold a wellness writing at night a couple times a month. And we do a whole bunch of other stuff. So these are a great opportunity to get some social and academic programming. And the last piece of these is that they also come with peer mentors that are in their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year of pharmacy school. So every house has to have all 3. So you're getting advice from someone who's been all the way through all 4 years of school, someone who's in the middle of it, and someone who is just where you were last year. You get that full sort of scope of our education. And it's something that we're really glad that we're able to offer our students. Hand in hand with that is our career development. Our advisors work with you one-on-one to make sure that you're on a career trajectory that makes sense for you. Your academic advisor will be your academic advisor for all 4 years, but they might connect you to another faculty member who's maybe more directly related to what your interest is. We have a very sort of popular faculty member here, Dr. Chilbert, who specializes in cardiology. And she will meet with any student that wants to meet with her, and faculty that are your academic advisors will be able to connect you with her, right? And get those sort of initial conversations about what a cardiologist does, what does a pharmacist specializing in cardiology do, and sort of build up your career perspective. We're also always calling our Career Design Center to come down to our campus and help our students. Actually, just the other night on Halloween, we had a Career Professional Day where all of the different schools that you saw have combined master's degrees, plus a bunch of different industry partners like CVS, Walgreens, and Roswell Park, which is a big hospital out here, came down and talked about their job opportunities and what they have for students. Students also got professional headshots. So we have a lot of opportunities for students to build that professional resume right from the get-go. You also, for that career development, have access to alumni mentors. It's something we're really encouraging with our potential PharmD students, because our pharmaceutical sciences research students, they take advantage of these alumni connections, no problem. But our PharmD students historically have been a little shy to build these. But these are alumni who are telling us, hey, we would love to email, Zoom, meet face-to-face with current students so we can help prepare them for their first professional roles, so that we can be that first person that sets them up for success. I always sort of encourage this because your alumni mentor might be the person who gets you the residency at their hospital or connects you with that first job opportunity at Pfizer or CVS, that they open doorways for you that your academic professors might not, right? They're an additional person that can be there and support your education and support your professional development. And you can meet with them as much or as little as you like. Some students email their alumni mentor once a semester, and some students meet with them regularly for coffee. It really depends on what you're looking to get out of it, and you can make it yours and make it a relationship that you want, so that when you're looking for letters of recommendation for a job down the road, you have somebody who's been working in industry for years and years and years who's in your corner. So that's the end of my official talk, but I'm happy to take any questions about our program that you might have, or just chit chat, whatever you're looking for.
Thank you so much, Tyler. Before we begin any questions, I just wanted to welcome Dr. Shew. Thank you so much for joining us. So the main thing I wanted to get into, Tyler, is the cost. So I do have a couple of slides that I could show quickly just to illustrate to the students what it would cost. Most of our students do get financial aid. They receive financial aid, so about 60%. So the cost of $7,000 a year, just under $7,000, is usually less than that. And if they're honor students, their costs might be completely covered, especially if they're Macaulay honors. Macaulay honors, the best fit is a 3+4. The 2+4 students will be directed into the Verrazano School because they'll only be spending 2 years with us before, and 75 credits before they make the move to University at Buffalo. So this is the 2+4. $6,930 a year for 2 years. And like I said, we're going to try to, if you're an honors student, or even your financial aid might be fully covered, so you might not be paying anything on the CSI end. The tuition for University at Buffalo's doctoral portion of the program is going to be $26,450 a year. So that comes to $105,000 and change for the 4 years. And there's scholarships available on both ends, on both the CSI end and the UB SPPS end, which is great. The eligibility is, and this is the admissions requirements. You need a 3.00 prereq GPA in the math and science courses. Your overall 3.3 GPA, that might be a little higher considering the pool. The PCAT is optional, so this is a great thing. You might not have to take the entrance exam if you're already a strong student. So that's where the BA comes in. We want to make sure that you are able to maintain a higher GPA. You don't have to take the PCAT, and then you're in that upper bracket of the pool, which is probably competitive. Tyler, can you give us an idea of how competitive the pool actually is in terms of what the GPA pool might be?
Really good question. Yeah, so I would say a student that holds an overall GPA and a prerequisite GPA at a minimum of 3.0 is in very strong standing for the University at Buffalo. We will accept both above and below, so we certainly get a range of students that have up to a 4.0, but we've certainly accepted students in the past that fall outside of that 3.0 but have a really strong sort of series of experiences that support their application. I want to also add about the PCAT. So this is actually the last year that it's being offered as an exam. After this year, it will not be accepted at any pharmacy school. And even at the University of Buffalo, it's an optional piece of your application, not something that we're really looking for as it stands. But this is actually the last year that it's being administered at all.
Oh, wow, that's great. So you won't have to worry about that entrance exam at all. So you'll be looking at other criteria. So SPPS will be looking at your college records, your GPA, your letters of reference. So you're going to need 2 letters of recommendation and an interview. So you have to apply by October 1st of your sophomore year if you want to go the super accelerated rate, which is called the early assurance program of the 2+4. So 2 years at CSI and then 4 years at University of Buffalo School of Pharmacy. The 3+4, very similar, except you're spending 1 more year at CSI, and that's a dual degree. So you're going to earn the bachelor degree at CSI, and in your 4th year, you will make the move to University at Buffalo and complete the additional 4 years for the Doctor of Pharmacy. So you're going to apply by October 1st of your junior year. And then the 4+4 is the traditional route. You're going to earn the bachelor's after 4 years, and then you will make the move to University of Buffalo to complete the doctoral portion of the program. We do have the required courses. So all the prereqs you need is contained in the BA in chemistry or biochemistry, which includes a year of biology, year of chemistry with labs, year of organic chem with labs, year of calculus 1, pre-calculus if you need it, or analytical geometry and calculus 1, year of anatomy and physiology 1 and 2, semester of microbiology, semester of biochemistry. The year of math includes calculus and statistics, year of English, and then a semester of a social science, psychology, economics, communications, anthropology, or sociology. That's it in a nutshell. So even if you didn't want to major in the BA in Chem, which is probably the best route to go, you can major in anything you want as long as you take those prereqs. Okay, so let's open it up to any questions that you might have. That was a lot of information, and thank you so much for listening to both Tyler and myself. And you can unmute, or if you have any questions, you can type it right into the chat.
So I do have some questions. And first of all, I thank that Tyler to give this very nice presentation. I personally, if there's a chance, I want to join. This from the programs. It's also very appealing to me, right? And so, my question is, do you, have some sort of like a breakdown or the rough numbers? How many those 2+4 students you have taken into your program in recent years?
Really good question. Yeah, so we have a variety of 2+4 affiliations within New York State, and actually we have one like within our own institution as well. About half of that 125 is going to come from a mixture of all of those programs. So about 50 to 60% of our students are going to be in some form of a combined program like this one.
Oh, I see. Okay, and so the students go to in the program, they study the courses, right? And you mentioned that they are already like a predetermined, right? So the courses they must pass, right? And also they are doing some research, right? So how many years of research they'll be engaged in your program?
Yeah, that's also a super great question. So research is really up to the student when it comes to the PharmD program. They can do absolutely none if they don't want to touch it at all. But if they want to do clinical research for all 4 years, they can do clinical research for all 4 years. And we'll actually, so when they do their clinical rotations, because we give them professional experiences in their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th years, they can actually request to be placed in a clinical research site as well. So they actually sit along, not just an in-house clinical trial, but to sit alongside an independent clinical trial as well.
And so recently, one student contacted me, and she has a very, the high interest to apply your program. The issue is that she already has the bachelor degree, but from the outside of the United States, right? And so, there are certain, credits that she was not able to transfer to our college. I'm not sure, would you take those, the international, the academic credits?
Yeah, so we do take international credits as part of our application. We do require, though, they have to get WES articulated first. So they have to go through curricular review from the WES organization. Mm-hmm. But once they're through, they get sent into our PharmCast application system, okay. And we accept them just the same because they'll tell us what the American equivalent is. So.
Okay. All right. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, I see Beatrice has a question in the chat as well about the average tuition for Buffalo with the scholarships. So we don't track year to year what the average works out to with the scholarships, but what I will tell you is I will emphasize what I said at the top. Our scholarships, outside of our needs-based one, which you don't apply for until you get to the University of Buffalo, our merit scholarships are generally good for the first year of study. So they are really for that first professional year as you adjust to professional education. After your first professional year, many students choose to hold like a part-time job, and that sort of supplements where a lot of our scholarship money would have gone. So we really try to help those new students that are transitioning to Buffalo that might not have relationships with employers. So I don't have an average number for you, but I can tell you that in-state tuitions from New York, in terms of scholarships range from anywhere from, I think our floor is about $5,000 all the way up to $20,000. So it really depends on the student.
Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, of course.
I've done some research on competitors, and I can give you an example. St. John's doctoral portion of the program is $168,000 compared to UB's cost of $105,800. That's with no financial aid for 4 years to earn the PharmD, the Doctor of Pharmacy. So you can see it's an incredible bargain, and most likely we will be able to help on the CSI side between financial aid and merit scholarships, where it's not costing you anything for the undergrad degree. I think this deal, this is like the best deal out there.
Yeah, I want to second what you're saying, because I also want to say, like, in addition to scholarships, financial aid is given out at the professional degree level. So if you're involved in EOP or any like in-state program like EOP or like a McNair Scholar, we have programs to supplement that funding at the professional level. So if you get involved in one of these programs early on, there are opportunities to continue that funding at the graduate level. And just like an undergraduate applicant, we're doing a whole scale review of your financial aid. And we actually have a financial aid officer specifically for our program. So they work with all of our students individually. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a really good point.
You know, if you haven't applied yet, and if you're thinking about Macaulay, let us know, because like I said, the 3+4 is a good fit, or the 4+4, of course. 2+4, we will encourage you to file the supplemental application to the Verrazano School. And that GPA is anywhere from an 88 to a 92. And both programs have scholarships. We have a great learning environment in our honors programs. All students have their own lounge, their own advisors. It's a great way to make friends. And also, if you join the club associated with your major, either biology or chemistry, there's several clubs in both areas. And if you choose to do the double major, that's another option for you too. So if you're a good student, you'll most likely be able to handle it. So have that conversation with Dr. Shew. So the other thing is we will give you excellent attention, one-on-one attention and advisement on our end, because like we mentioned, the chemistry program is small, and you'll be able to have a lot of one-on-one attention and advisement. I hope you all have a great evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be in touch.
Oh, good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Tyler. We'll be in touch too. Thank you. That was great.